Hello and welcome. Thought I'd let you know what I'm doing at the minute, and I'm actually playing a Most Fearful Sacrifice, not to be confused with a Most Fearful Slaughter. The 3 days of Gettysburg, I have to confess this is the only battle game I've got on Gettysburg. I may have had one many years ago. It was Fateful Lightning, which I sold. I've never really got to grips with it. I bought this when it came out. I've got the first edition, and there was initial problems which I think are well reported of the play aids being in a very small font, not really helping the ageing gaming population. But that was fixable. The stuff came out online quite quickly, and I think Flying Pig also did some more official. I've recently bought the update kit anyway, which you could argue it's not really necessary, but I think in both cases it slightly niggles me that they only ever put in one set of play aids. I had a whinge before. These are not solitaire games, and they're also not cheap games. So why not provide a set of play aids for each player? Anyway. As I say, I bought it when it came out pretty much. I had a little go at it. For some reason I didn't get very far. I can't remember why that was. So I decided to give it another go, I suppose motivated by the update kit arrival. So I'm just basically piling into the campaign game. Got a big enough space. It's a big map. It's a nice map, I have to say. Often praised, and I think rightly so. One of Rick Barber's last map designs, I think. So I'm sort of halfway through the 2 PM turn on the first day. Finding play quite smooth. I think the generation of the card draw deck. It's a good feature for solitaire play. You can just turn over a few cards, do some activations, then walk away, come back and keep going. And turns do go by pretty quick. What have I done? Started at 9, didn't it? 2, 4. I'm on the 6th turn. So in summary, I know the basics of the Battle of Gettysburg. I'm not an expert by any stretch, but I know it was about the rumour of shoes in the town of Gettysburg and Heath's division charging up the turnpike and running into Buford's cavalry, and then it all escalates from there. And I know Longstreet making his assault on day 2, and the Pickford's charge, isn't it, on the 3rd day? So I'm learning as I go, really, because I'm not aware of where the various sort of reinforcements come on and what time. So that's it's happening, and I'm getting some more guys on here. That's good. Let's get them moving. I think the activation system is quite interesting. There have been one or two. I suppose my main confusion with the rules was with movement, of all things, which seems bizarre because that's usually one of the most simplest ideas in any design, is that you get movement points and you use them. Different types of terrain cost different amounts of movement, but in this game there's a concept of road march which allows you to move along the main roads at half a movement point per hex. That is if you're not bumping into an overstacked hex along the way, and if that's the case, you then pay for the terrain. So if there's a road hex going through some woods, and there's something in the woods already and it puts you above, I think, 10 strength points, then you've got to pay the cost of the terrain. which would be 2, so 2 rather than half, so quite a big difference. But there's also moving along any type of road. That could be a road, it could be a lane, it could be a road, and you just pay 1 movement point for that. And there's nothing in that section of the rules that says that is hindered by the hex being overstacked, which is a bit weird, because if you can swap and change your road order to non-road order during the same movement, you would never pay the cost of the terrain for moving down a road, because you go, half, half, half. Oh, there's a woods hex. I'm now not going to be in road order. I'm now going to just use the fact it's a road and pay 1, half, half, half. It just feels very odd. And there was a thread on Board Game Geek with input from the designer, which, if anything, made the situation even more confused. I think he was sort of conflating 2 different systems. He also does the, I think, the Blind Swords, which I've not played, so maybe there's a bit of crossover. So I'm kind of house ruling that, in that when you issue an order to a formation, you can either defend, you can manoeuvre, or you can attack. And I'm playing that if you want to make use of the road march order, you have to select manoeuvre. So you get 8 movement points, and you are considered to be maximising your movement. You're going into sort of road column. You then pay the congestion charge, if you will, for being overstacked, and that sort of makes sense. Or you can do the normal attack, which gives you 5 movement points. Again, allows you to move 1 down a road rather than half, or 1 down a lane. But equally, if you hit a concentration of friendly troops, you also don't get the benefit of the road. It seems funny you get the benefit of the road if you're in normal movement, but you don't if you're in manoeuvre or road march. And there are actually stacking limits on all sorts of terrain. I think in the let's have a quick look on the terrain effects chart. There is sort of stacking for lanes, 10 strength points if you want to use the movement point cost. So why would a lane only ever cost you 1 if there is actually a 10 SP limit put in the terrain effects chart? And then there was another comment, oh, that's still an error, and it's also an error that's been transferred across into the 2nd edition. The whole thing just doesn't really hang together. So keep it simple. You select a manoeuvre for the formation, you make use of road march. If it gets crowded, you pay the cost, but you can't engage because you're in manoeuvre. Or you select attack, you can't use road march, you can use the 1 movement point. You also get penalised if there's lots of friendly traffic on the lanes, railroads and main roads. I'm doing that, and it just feels better. It makes the selection of order, to me, a bit more sensible. But I guess you can do what you want. These are our games after all. Someone else said there was a lot of talk initially about, oh, you can't get enough Union troops up to Gettysburg, you need additional cards to facilitate that. I'm not finding that. I mean, there's stuff there. You'll see the map in a minute. I think they get another load on 3 PM next turn. They will be given manoeuvre orders, so they'll be hacking up the roads towards Gettysburg, and I suspect the current troops there can hang on. I mean, Reynolds is dead. Heath is dead, so his division is pretty toothless now. Very hard to get anything out of it. I think they would only get a single brigade on a 4, 5 or a 6. So possibly you could give them a bit of support from the Lee card, which is now in the game, but that's still only on a 3, 4, 5 or 6. Would you get anything out of Heath? And maybe Lee's better off being used elsewhere. But it's a nice game. I think it's you know, I can't really compare to any others. I haven't really played very many. I like the ease of play. The combat is interesting. There's lots of a variety in the results. Counters are nice and clear, nice big chunky counters, and there's also, you don't get much clutter. I mean, apart from a hasty works marker or something, there's nothing covering up the counters. A lot of these sort of tactical games, you tend to find that you get disordered and you get routed and you get formations and you get other sorts of clutter, which tends to take away from the sort of visual appeal of the whole affair. So it's quite nice. I really would like to get onto the second day, get Longstreet's attack, see how that pans out. So don't know how I'm doing, but I'm quite enjoying it. Let's have a look at the map. So we're at the northern end of the map, and you can see that these initial ridges that were defended by Buford's troops have been cleared. It is difficult to get the artillery up, I've noticed, because you're not allowed to enter within 3 hexes when they move of the enemy. So they've been trying to clear the Union troops from here to allow them to set up their artillery along this ridge. They're getting there, but not quite at the moment. And so there's like a fishhook of Union troops around here. This is essentially sort of 1st Corps, and then 11th Corps have taken up around here. They've been pushed out to this VP hex up here by one of the brigades from the Confederate 2nd Corps. Heath is sort of gathered here, not doing a great deal. And it's actually Pender's division which is coming on in here that's taken up. I pushed Heath actually around this way. They've taken a couple of VP spots. There's nothing much coming up the road at the moment. As I say, 3 PM is the time where the Union gets some more troops. They have been able to generate a gun line along here just to defend the northern approaches to Gettysburg. So there you go. Yeah, I believe it's still available as a game. I think they're maybe even in the sort of 3rd printing now of the game. So yeah, quite enjoying it.